Good day to everyone. Now we are going to discuss the global media and culture. According to Jack Lull, could global trade have evolved without a flow of information on markets, prices, commodities, and more? Could empires have stretched across the world without communication throughout their borders? Could religion, music, poetry, film, fiction, cuisine, and fashion develop as they have without the intermingling of media and cultures? Before we start, let us first define global media. Global media refers to forms of mass communication that reach across the world. Today, that includes everything from traditional media such as TV, radio, and newspapers to social media like YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Next is the culture. Culture is the systems of knowledge shared by a relatively large group of people. And then let's proceed to the role of media in globalization. First, it provides educational opportunities. Issues of literacy are addressed, especially media literacy. The advantages of media in the academic environment are numerous: collaboration and connectedness among users, access to clinical experts, access to information from a variety of sources, and the ability to disseminate information are some of the possible opportunities. Next, the economic role of global media is reflected in its dominant orientation to profit. Today, media is one of the largest industries in the world. Faster connections, new devices, and new online applications have all contributed to a shift in how people work, socialize, and shop. Businesses can now do more than ever before. With marketing campaigns, you may directly target customers. New product or service promotion, increase brand awareness, interact with current and potential clients on a personal level. And lastly, the political role of media, among other things, consists of interpreting the communicational linking of social subsystems of authorities, politicians, and citizens, representing interests and statuses of social groups, initiating and conducting the public hearings, influencing the public opinion, and so on. In today's world, the media has evolved into an essential medium of communication, providing powerful channels of information between politicians and citizens. Additionally, the media serves as a proactive tool for encouraging citizens to participate in the political process. People are influenced by the media as a vital source of information to express their ideas, criticisms, and suggestions, as well as participate in politics.
Today, we will talk about cultural assimilation and cultural convergence. So, first, let us define what is cultural assimilation. So, cultural assimilation is the process in which a minority group or a culture comes to resemble a dominant group or assume the values, behaviors, and beliefs of another group. So, cultural assimilation may be either in a fast or in a gradual change, depending on the circumstances of the group. So, the pace in which cultural assimilation depends on the willingness of the minor group to accept the changes that may happen in their lives or the changes that may happen in their lifestyle. So, the term cultural assimilation or assimilation is often used not only for indigenous groups but also for immigrants that settled into a new land. Another point is that we can tell if a group or a minor group is fully assimilated when they are indistinguishable from the members of the dominant group. So we can say that they have been living in that dominant country for so long or for so many years that they have been accustomed to the values, to the traditions, to the beliefs, to the language, and everything, the lifestyle of the dominant members of that group that they are living. Cultural assimilation is happening or had happened in many parts of the world, and there are many reasons why such things happen. So let's cite some examples. So the first example is cultural assimilation from the Philippines, where from indigenous Philippine folk religion to Christianity. So the Philippines is one of the countries that had experienced cultural assimilation, and the country has been colonized by other countries for a very long time. The Philippines is not originally a Christian country, and Christianity was introduced by the Spaniards who conquered the country for 333 years. There are no specific religion that the Philippines have before the colonizers came, but there are signs of Bathalism, Anitism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. We can call this as an example of cultural assimilation for the reason that as the Spaniards stayed in the Philippines, the locals adapted their faith and slowly as time passed by, forgotten or have abandoned their old faith. The next example of cultural assimilation is Filipino immigrants. So let us relate it in today's era. Immigrants, for example, there are many Filipino immigrants now that inhabited the United States, maybe because of many job opportunities or they want to change their lifestyle. And since they are in a new country, they have to fit in a way that locals there are living. Also, they started to become accustomed to the foods in the new land. They have slowly being culturally assimilated, where they resemble the culture, the values, the traits of the members of the dominant country. So let us take a look at the disadvantages of cultural assimilation. So the first disadvantage of cultural assimilation is losing one's culture or culture loss. As we define culture assimilation or cultural assimilation earlier, it is said that cultural assimilation is a process in which a minority group or culture comes to resemble a dominant group. So by adapting their values, their behaviors, their beliefs of the dominant group, the minor group will slowly lose their own culture. And all of this are done in order to fit in or to be accepted. So the second one is resistance or refusing to be assimilated can result into segregation. So refusing to be assimilated can be dangerous or harmful in the minority side or the minor group side, because as I stated earlier, that people choose to fit in because they do not want to be discriminated or marginalized by the dominant group. As we identify the disadvantages of cultural assimilation, we can say that cultural assimilation can be in a negative aspect. But let us cite some advantages of cultural assimilation. So, one is it creates more employment opportunities for immigrants. So, job opportunities is very low in some of the poor countries in the world. It is one of the problem that many countries face. So, through migrating or through leaving one's country to immigrate to another country, it can benefit the minor group because they can have a job or they can change the way they live or their lifestyle. And this process can be both beneficial in the side of the dominant group and in the side of the minor group. So we are done talking about cultural assimilation. Now let's move on to cultural convergence. Let us define what cultural convergence is. So cultural convergence is when different cultures become more and more similar and things like beliefs, values, customs, and behaviors become more alike. So cultural convergence is mostly seen in countries that interact and communicate to each other. They are mostly seen in countries which has a lot of interaction with each other. Media and cultural convergence. So, through media and technology, different people can know or learn more about the culture of different countries or in different groups. Media and technology has always been helpful in communication. We can communicate instantly and exchange informations without limitation. So media has been playing a big role in the world or in spreading many things in the world like information, culture, like um, beliefs, and other things that we have in our lives. So one of the drawbacks of cultural convergence is that um, it can wash away culture or unique characteristics of different cultures are being washed away. So because people are exposed to media, we are seeing many different cultures from different places around the globe. For example, the Filipinos can see posts or videos from Korea, which they are influenced with. So, as they started admiring the Korean culture or the Korean ways of living, they started to do things that Koreans do as well. For example, dancing in K-pop or eating foods or eating Korean foods or wearing different clothes that was made in Korea. So it can wash away our culture, and as time passed by, we are being super influenced by these major countries or the dominant countries that we are slowly forgetting our own or slowly forgetting our own culture.
In this part, we will discuss about global and local cultures. Cultures can exist at the global, national, regional, city, neighborhood, subculture, and superculture levels. Such cultures are not mutually exclusive but overlap in countless ways. Global culture can be conceived as a whole way of life of the world's people and also cultural works that are produced and commonly consumed by people who live within and across many countries, not just one country. Globalization can also lead to a sense of deeply rooted in one's culture and the global significance of local knowledge. This can help everyone to have understanding and smooth interaction with other nationalities. Examples of social forces that are creating a global culture include electronic communications such as telephones, email, fax machines, the mass media like television, radio, film, the news media, the internet, international businesses and banks, and the United Nations. Some examples of global culture are fashion, such as trendy styles or designs that spreads around the world. One example is Korean or K-pop style. Number two, professional culture such as educators that share norms, ideas, and symbols. Number three, language. Many countries exert effort to learn a certain language. For example, is English to communicate with other people easily. Number four, beliefs. Religions and philosophies typically transcend national borders. Number five, food that are famous in most countries such as pizza, burgers, smoothies, and many more. And lastly, gamers. Video game enthusiasts represent a major culture that has a global reach. The local culture is the way of life and beliefs of every person or group in each country. Local culture can be transmitted or adapted through shared life experiences from family, neighbors, friends, acquaintances, and co-workers. The Philippines is a culture in which East meets West. The Filipino people have a distinct Asian background with a strong Western tradition. The modern Filipino culture developed through influence from Chinese traders, Spanish conquistadors, and American rulers. Local culture has connections to all aspects of the curriculum including art, music, theater, geography, history, sociology, economics, political science, psychology, anthropology, folklore, reading, writing, speaking, listening, foreign languages, English as a second language, media and technology, international education, natural natural history and environmental education, family and consumer education. The family is the safety net for individuals, especially older people, during difficult economic times. Children will often stay with their parents into adulthood, only leaving when they get married. Political and business ties are often influenced by family relationships, pakikisama, utang na loob, and fiestas. Number 1. Developing cultural self-awareness. Understanding our own culture is the first step to understand other people's culture. It helps us understand that every nation or every country has its own set of cultures and values. Number 2, learn to appreciate and value diverse views. As what I've said from the number 1, different country or nation has different set of cultures and beliefs. We shouldn't judge them if they are believing or they have different culture from us. It doesn't mean that if we don't practice what they are doing, what they do is already wrong. We should try to appreciate and learn to value their beliefs and cultures.
Another way on accepting culture is to learn what you can. Reading or talking on a friend with a different culture can expand your knowledge about other people's culture. You can visit their cultural celebrations to experience what they experience on their culture, and this will surely expand your knowledge and your understanding about other cultures in the world, and also this will also promote your overall acceptance. The last one is avoid imposing your own values. Once you are aware that there are cultural differences existing all over the world, you may see or you may find that other cultural norms or other cultural practices may be uncomfortable for you. So instead of judging them, you may take some effort to understand other people's perspective about their culture, because there is no such thing as a world with a single culture. Everyone is different and everyone has different cultures that they believed in.